Top story viewers, after a fair amount of suspense, Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav is all set to step into the battlefield. India Today's news break has now been confirmed. The BJP's challenger #1 will fight polls from Karhal in Mainpuri. The Karhal Assembly constituency of UP is currently held by Sobaran Singh Yadav of SP. In the 2016, the UP Assembly elections, he beat Rama Shakya of BJP. Sobaran Singh Yadav got 49.8% of the votes. It seemed to be an extremely safe seat for the Samajwadi Party, the bastion of Mulayam Singh Yadav, called his Karambhumi.
तंत्र में भारत का संविधान की आजादी देता है कि कोई भी व्यक्ति कहीं से भी चुनाव लड़ सकता है। अखिलेश यादव जी उत्तर प्रदेश की किसी भी विधानसभा से जहां से वो चुनाव लड़ना चाहे लड़ सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर उनको ये गलतफहमी है कि मैनपुरी उनका गढ़ है जहां उनके पिताजी चुनाव जीत करके आए हैं और वहां से वो चुनाव लड़ करके सेफ है, तो अखिलेश यादव जी को मैं बताना चाहूंगा, मैनपुरी में भी उनकी हालत पतली है। हम उनकी साइकिल को करहल में ही पंचर कर देंगे, वो एक्सप्रेस वे चढ़ नहीं पाएंगे जिस एक्सप्रेस वे से उनको घर से लखनऊ आने का रास्ता मिलता है। लखनऊ की दूरी करहल से बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगी।
आखिर डर नहीं है तो क्या है? जो योगी जी को घर में जाने पर जो योगी जी का डर बता रहे थे, आज उनको ये डर नहीं लग रहा है तो क्या है? निश्चित रूप से उत्तर प्रदेश में जो वो कन्नौज से चुनाव लड़ सकते थे, जिस कन्नौज को वो अपना बताते थे, वो इटावा जहां से उनका गृह जनपद है, वहां से चुनाव लड़ सकते थे, लेकिन वहां से चुनाव लड़ने की हिम्मत नहीं जोड़ पाए। और निश्चित रूप से ये उनके अंदर समाजवादी पार्टी की हार स्पष्ट उनको दिख रही है और इसीलिए वो एक जानबूझकर एक ऐसी सीट पर गए हैं, लेकिन वहां के ऊपर भी वह चुनाव हारेंगे। करहल विधानसभा इस बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी जीतेगी।
All right, viewers, why is it that Akhilesh Yadav chose Karhal as his constituency in the assembly elections that he's fighting for the first time? This is Mulayam Singh Yadav's bastion. He's fought from Mainpuri as an MP Lok Sabha election, though Karhal was where Mulayam Singh Yadav had cut his teeth as a politician and earned his spurs there. Mainpuri, to which belongs Karhal as a constituency, is a Yadav stronghold. It's in western Braj, UP. It goes to polls in phase 3, so more time to campaign and just about enough time to get over with the election and focus on the larger game plan of the Samajwadi Party. The Samajwadi Party has won Karhal 7 times since 1993. 2017, the SP won with near 50% votes. All right, viewers. Akhilesh Yadav has now entered the poll fray. He will be contesting from Karhal, Mainpuri. If you look at it on the same account, Yogi Adityanath was the first one to announce that he's going to contest assembly elections. Yogi Adityanath has chosen the seat of Gorakhpur Urban, while Akhilesh Yadav has chosen the seat of Karhal, Mainpuri. Both have gone back to what is perceived to be their strongholds, which is Gorakhpur Urban for Yogi Adityanath and Mainpuri Karhal for Akhilesh Yadav. It would be interesting to see how things play out. Akhilesh will have the advantage in terms of campaigning because he'll be done with his constituency, which votes in the 3rd phase, while Gorakhpur votes in the 7th phase. In that context, it's a plus for Akhilesh Yadav. However, Yogi Adityanath, a true holder of the constituency of Gorakhpur, he's been the MP from there many a times over. Many suggest he doesn't really quite need to contest, that it's going to move on to be a walkover kind of situation for Yogi Adityanath. But, you know, perception-wise, he's going to be given a fight by Bhim Army Chief of the Azad Samaj Party, will be contesting that election with Chandrasekhar Azad as their force against Yogi Adityanath in Gorakhpur. But that's supposed to be a token fight, or at least that's how it's perceived to be, with Yogi Adityanath pretty much is perceived to be winning from Gorakhpur Urban. Let's cut across to my colleague Abhishek, who's joining us on the latest contest that has been announced of Karhal Mainpuri by Akhilesh Yadav. Abhishek, will you take us through the reasons why Akhilesh chose a Karhal Mainpuri and possibly not a Azamgarh, on which he is an MP from?
Karhal, instead of any other seat, is very clear. Karhal has a very important the party. It has been a safe seat. Mulayam Yadav has always been the member of parliament from there. It is a very stronghold of the Samajwadi Party. From 1993 onwards, 1996, Samajwadi Party has always got that seat in Lok Sabha. But for the Vidhan Sabha, Karhal has been a home turf for them, and it is a quite safe seat for Akhilesh Yadav, and that is the primary reason that he has chosen for this seat. At the same time, since this time the elections are virtual, and it needs a lot of attention of the top leaders as far as campaign is concerned. So Akhilesh really doesn't want to give much of a time, indulging in a ground war, choosing any such a seat which can risk him. That is also another reason. And of course, the major thing is to give a message to all the Karyakartas, to all the workers and cadres that, the Samajwadi Party is fighting it on its own. And that is the only reason that Akhilesh has also...
Abhishek, very quickly, it was important for Akhilesh to, maybe contest in the first 3 phases, primarily because he's the only face that the Samajwadi Party has. The BJP has many faces, many people to campaign. Akhilesh is the sole in charge of the entire campaign of the Samajwadi Party. He needs to get done with his election to focus on the larger campaign.
Well, absolutely, and that is the primary reason, because we have seen how Akhilesh Yadav has constantly, putting it back to the BJP, continuing doing press conferences. He's the face, and that face needs to be on the ground, but he cannot risk it, and that's the reason that Karhal has chosen Akhilesh Yadav is also contest from there, giving a message that if Yogi Adityanath can fight, Isham Moria can fight, so can I, and it's Mainpuri.
Right. All right, now the pressure, appreciate you joining us, Abhishek. We're going to continue to come back to you, but now with big faces, big leadership stepping in and taking on the challenge to contest, the focus is going to be on others, the likes of Priyanka Gandhi. Will she also pick up the poll gauntlet? Time will tell. But meanwhile, on the other hand, there's another clash which is poised. Many see it as just a token fight between Bhim Army Chief Chandrasekhar Azad versus Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. A vocal critic of the BJP, Chandrasekhar Azad, is all set to contest polls as an independent candidate. This after his recent announcement where he ruled out an alliance with the Samajwadi Party. Even before Yogi's Gorakhpur announcement, the Dalit leader had openly challenged Yogi, claiming that he would contest against the CM. Gorakhpur is the hometown of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Yogi had been the MP from Gorakhpur Lok Sabha seat since 1998 until he became the CM in 2017. Yogi is the second Chief Minister to contest from the seat that the BJP has dominated for decades now.
पार्टी का आदेश हुआ है कि आपको गोरखपुर सदर लड़ना है और मैं भीम आर्मी और आज़ाद समाज पार्टी के का जो आदेश है हमारे नेताओं का, मैं उसका सम्मान करूंगा और मैं गोरखपुर चुनाव लड़ने जा रहा हूं। पिछले 5 साल में जो अन्याय, अत्याचार, जुल्म जाति बहुजन समाज के लोगों ने उत्तर प्रदेश में सही, उसके लिए सिर्फ एक शख्स जिम्मेदार है, वो है मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ। इसलिए मैं पार्टी के आदेश का सम्मान करते हुए वहां चुनाव लड़ूंगा।
उनको बोलो he's not. Meanwhile, controversy erupts over the Panjim seat in Goa. Former Chief Minister Manohar Parrikars' son, Utpal, who was keen on fighting from Panjim, was denied the ticket from BJP. Meanwhile, Arvind Kejriwal has invited Utpal to join Aam Aadmi Party. Here's the full report.
Anger is brewing in the BJP over ticket distribution in Goa. The party has denied ticket to late Chief Minister Manohar Parrikars' son, Utpal Parrikar. Utpal Parrikar was keen on contesting from the Panjim seat, but his party gave the ticket to Babush Montserrat instead. Montserrat, a minister in the present government, had joined the BJP from the Congress in 2019. While the BJP may offer another seat to Utpal Parrikar later, he remains firm on contesting from Panjim.
उत्पल पर्रिकर या पर्रिकर जी का परिवार, ये हमारा परिवार है, ये हमारे सारे करीबी लोग हैं। हमने उत्पल पर्रिकर को 2 और ऑप्शन दिए थे कि जहां से वो लड़ सकते हैं। उसमें से एक तो उन्होंने पहले ही मना कर दिया था, दूसरे के बारे में भी उनसे चर्चा चल रही है और हम सबको लगता है कि उन्होंने मानना चाहिए।
Utpal Parrikar is now getting offers from the opposition parties. Arvind Kejriwal has extended an open invitation to Parrikar Jr. to join the Aam Aadmi Party. The Shiv Sena says it will support Utpal Parrikar in Panjim seat if he chooses to contest as an independent candidate.
जिस मनोहर पर्रिकर ने अपने कैरेक्टर से गोवा के नहीं जो देश के भाजपा को एक कैरेक्टर दिया, ऐसे व्यक्ति के मृत्यु के बाद उसके फैमिली के बारे में मैं जो सुन रहा हूँ, मैं जो पढ़ रहा हूँ, जिस तरह की भाषा का इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये गिरने वाली ही चीज़ है। उनका सम्मान रहना चाहिए, चाहे आप भाजपा को उम्मीदवार उसको बनाए या न बनाए, लेकिन पर्रिकर का सम्मान गोवा में रहना चाहिए।
Manohar Parrikar was the BJP's first chief minister in the state. He was the party's tallest leader in Goa. Now dissidence over denial of ticket to Parrikars' son threatens to affect the BJP's prospects. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let's quickly move on in the news bulletin. He's an entitled Shahzada, from initiating a brawl in Bengaluru's plum to ramming his Bentley into vehicles. Karnataka's Congress MLA son Mohammad Nalapar has a long history, and now Nalapar finds himself in the centre of yet another controversy, accused of threatening and accusing a fellow co-worker. This comes 10 days before he takes over as Karnataka's Youth Congress president. Meanwhile, the co-worker has taken a hasty U-turn and said whatever happened between them was a misunderstanding.
He's the bad boy of Bengaluru's VVIP circuit, full of super luxury cars, booze-fueled parties and violent flare-ups. And now, just 10 days before he takes over as Karnataka's Youth Congress president, Mohammad Nalapar, son of sitting Congress MLA N.A. Harris, is in the eye of yet another scrappy storm. A man from the very organization Nalapar will be heading has alleged that he and his relatives were abused by Mohammad Nalapar and his friends. The fight allegedly took place during a dinner get-together that Sidhu was invited to by Nalapar. Sidhu has alleged that Nalapar and his friends abused them verbally and physically, claiming that he was hit on the nose and his brother and driver were injured as well. But with the heat apparently turned up, in a sudden U-turn, Sidhu quickly denied the reports of the abuse and claimed that what happened was just a misunderstanding and that Nalapar was not even involved in the fight. Nalapar too has reacted to the claims made by Sidhu and defended himself, saying that he was being targeted unnecessarily. The truth of the current controversy may be lost in the twists and turns, but Mohammad Nalapar definitely has a track record that smacks of entitlement and VVIP rowdigiri. In April last year, Nalapar was booked for threatening Vice President of the Karnataka Pradesh Youth Congress Committee, Bhavya KR. In February 2018, he shot into the headlines after being accused of assaulting a fellow diner at an upscale restaurant in Bengaluru's UB city. He was arrested for the attack and bailed after a few months. In February 2020, Nalapar's super luxury Bentley was involved in a rash driving incident where 4 people were injured near Bengaluru's Mekhri Circle. With the heat turned up, Nalapar turned himself in but blamed his security guard for the incident, claiming he wasn't even in the car. As Bengaluru's most famous VVIP brat, could the fresh heat spell trouble ahead of Mohammad Nalapar's big day? He takes charge as the Youth Congress President of Karnataka at the end of this month. With Nolan Pinto in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson declared that UK's Omicron peak is over. This declaration means that several COVID restrictions will now be lifted. Wearing face masks will no longer be mandatory outdoors, and people will be no longer asked to work from home from next week. Boris also scraps mandatory vaccine certificate rule for larger gatherings. Remember, UK was one of the hardest hit countries in Europe. After a massive spike in daily cases, the country has begun to see some light at the end of the tunnel. 94,432 COVID cases were recorded in the last 24 hours alone. The figure has gone down by 38.9% as compared to the previous week. The lifting of curbs comes even as several parts of the world are seeing massive surge in COVID cases fueled by the Omicron variant. Welcome back. You're watching a fact check segment where we bust certain claims masquerading to be facts on social media platforms and WhatsApp groups. There's a claim floating about that the Taliban banned cell phones, destroying them in public in Afghanistan. Well, the fact check on that video shows Pakistan officials destroying drugs. It doesn't have anything to do with Afghanistan destroying cell phones. But a lot else going on in the country, but this in particular is fake news. A quick break. On the other side is to the point.